It's been almost 700 days since scout rifles were ruined in PvE because of precision nerfs and Shadowkeep. Thanks to some scout rifle buffs Bungie has promised for Season 15, it's time for a scout rifle meta in Destiny. There's almost 20 scout rifles to choose from in Season 15, there's some great scout rifles, but there's even more bad ones that you probably shouldn't use at all. In this video, I'm going to cover everything you need to know about scout rifles so you're fully prepared for all of the new content in Season 15. By the end, you'll know the best scout rifles for PvE and PvP that you need to have for Season 15, as well as the best perks and roles to farm for. So let's start with the best PvE scout rifles, how to get them, and the best roles that you need to get before moving to the best PvP scout rifles. First up, Vouchsafe is one of the best scout rifles you can get for PvE, even if it's the hardest scout rifle to get, and the hardest one to get exactly what you want. What makes Vouchsafe an S tier scout rifle is that it hits the like button on this video to help the YouTube algorithm. Also, it's the only void legendary scout rifle that can roll with the best scout rifle perk in the game, Explosive Payload. This perk is fantastic on champions or for ad clear because it does a smidge more damage than normal. It also causes extra flinch to enemies so that they get staggered for a moment, and the explosive rounds can hit multiple enemies at the same time. Whenever Overload Scout Rifle or Anti-Barrier Scout Rifle are seasonal mods, you can stun both champions faster because of Explosive Payload. And on red bar enemies, you can kill them more quickly. Vouchsafe can also roll with Rapid Hit, which is one of my favorite perks on scout rifles because it's really easy to ramp it up to its max stack. Your reload is super fast, and it makes Vouchsafe feel even better to shoot with. In my opinion, the best role for Vouchsafe is Rapid Hit with Explosive Payload. Rapid Hit and multi-kill clip isn't bad, but you're probably not going to get multiple multi-kill clip damage stacks in endgame content. With Explosive Payload, 4 times the charm is really good for Grandmaster Nightfalls and Master Vault of Glass because enemies have so much more health that you'll land more precision shots and get refunded more ammo. Personally, I don't like Outlaw with Explosive Payload because it's harder to get precision kills to proc Outlaw when the explosion can get the kill instead of the precision shot. But if you get an Outlaw and Explosive Payload roll, keep it just because of Explosive Payload. Vouchsafe is great at breaking void shields in endgame PvE where you need to fire from behind cover at safe distances. It has enough range that you can be pretty far away from enemies and still be successful. I love Vouchsafe, but it's an extremely difficult weapon to farm for. It only drops from Dreaming City activities, so each week you have a set amount of chances for Vouchsafe to drop for you. Make sure to complete every activity on the Dreaming City that rewards powerful drops or legendary gear on all 3 of your characters each week to maximize your chances. The only other way to get more chances is if you literally delete a character. I don't really recommend Royal Chase, the only other legendary Void Scout rifle, because of its terrible perk options. But if you desperately need a Void Scout for Void Shields, Royal Chase is way easier to farm for than Vouchsafe. The second PvE scout rifle is Dead Man's Tale. I absolutely love this for endgame PvE content because you can get Vorpal Weapon on it. DMT with its catalyst does so much damage to champions and bosses in Grandmaster Nightfalls. It's really just a solid DPS option when you're out of special and power ammo. Since Anarchy is getting nerfed in Season 15 and Breach and Clear won't be around anymore, legendary rocket launchers are most likely going to be back as the go-to DPS option in the power slot that frees up your exotic for the kinetic or energy slot. Persistent shots are extremely easy to hit with Dead Man's Tale, especially when you're firing from the hip with its catalyst. Those precision shots increase your damage and pair really well with 4 times the charm and Vorpal Weapon. You'll get so much ammo refunded from champions with 4 times, and Vorpal Weapon is a flat 15% damage buff that also stacks with Cranial Spike. Personally, I try and get Arrowhead Break to max out the recoil direction, and also for the nice stability bonus. Ricochet Rounds and Flare and Magwell are great magazine perks in the second column, and my personal favorite perks for PvE are Vorpal Weapon and Short Action Stock. Once you complete the exotic quest for Dead Man's Tale, you can farm for rolls each week by completing the Presage mission on the Tangled Shore. The third scout rifle is Eternal Blazon, and unfortunately it doesn't roll with Explosive Payload, but it's literally the only arc legendary scout rifle that you can use. In endgame content where there's tons of arc shields and the match game modifiers active, you'll be glad that you have this scout rifle. Rapid Hit, Killing Wind, and Overflow are all great options in the first perk column. Rapid Hit pairs really well with Kill Clip in the second column, and Killing Wind just makes Eternal Blazon feel even better to use. Overflow is also another really good perk option because you don't need to reload as often. In all honesty, I'd probably avoid Quick Draw and Slide Shot in PvE. Quick Draw got some nerfs, and it's really just not that useful anymore. To use Slide Shot, you're gonna have to leave cover to activate it, which is just too dangerous in endgame PvE content. It's better for you to just reload the weapon that risks dying for a couple shots automatically added to the mag. In the final column, I strongly recommend Kill Clip or Disruption Break for difficult PvE content. Kill Clip is an easy 33% damage buff that you can keep activating after every kill, leading to another kill and another kill. If you time it right, you can keep that 33% buff going for a long time. Disruption Break is great because it makes an enemy weak to kinetic damage after you break their arc shield. This is a 50% debuff to the enemy for 5.5 seconds that works when you break barrier champions' barriers and stacks with other debuffs in the game like Tether or Divinity. For bullet spongy fallen captains with their arc shields that can often one-shot you in endgame content, this sets up an easy burst kill for your team. Disruption Break is easily one of the most overlooked perks in the game. If you're running Grandmasters or Master Vault of Glass, One for All is actually a really good perk to run. You get a 35% damage buff for a whopping 10 seconds, and all you need to do is hit 3 different enemies within 3 seconds of each other. Literally all you need to do for this huge buff is go bang 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 to 3 enemies grouped up, and you have increased damage for 10 seconds. Since Eternal Blazon is a world drop, you can farm for it by giving Banshee weapon parts in the tower and hope that you get it from the rank up packages. You can also turn in Umbral engrams using the fragile prismatic lens at the helm for better chances, but that's more costly. Since there's always arc shields in endgame content, make sure that you have an Eternal Blazon in your vault for when you need it. The next best scout rifle in PvE is Hung Jury, and honestly it's such a good scout rifle that it belongs in the top PvP and PvE scout rifles. What's great about Hung Jury in PvE is that when you get an Adept version, you can equip the Adept Big Ones mod, which is basically Major and Boss Spec rolled together into one mod. With how many powerful enemies there are in challenging PvE content, Hung Jury with Adept Big Ones gets so much value. Scout Rifle is perfect for champions and majors that will ruin your Grandmaster Nightfall. The best roll you can get is easily Rapid Hit and Explosive Payload for PvE. Rapid Hit makes your reload and stability better, which means you hit more precision shots on high value targets and spend less time reloading. An Explosive Payload makes disrupting Overload champions and breaking Barrier champions' barrier even easier. Basically, the reason for this is that you need 3 rounds to be able to proc Overload rounds. An Explosive Payload makes each shot you fire split into 2 bullets, so instead of pulling the trigger 3 times to stun an Overload champion, all you need to do is fire it twice to get the 3 shots. Explosive Payload also adds a little bit more damage to each round that you fire, so breaking Barrier champions' barriers will take less ammo. On top of all of that, the flinch from Explosive Payload causes enemies to stagger more, which gives you and your team breathing room when the incoming fire from enemies is paused because of that stagger. Honestly, there's just so many benefits from this one perk in all PvE content, and those benefits are active more often than what you can get from most of the other perk options in the final perk column like Box Breathing, Adrenaline Junkie, One for All, and sadly even Firefly. The Hung Jury Scout Rifle can only be obtained from Nightfall ordeals. Each week on a rotation, specific weapons have a chance to drop from Nightfalls. The more difficult the Nightfall is, the higher the drop rate. If you complete a Grandmaster Nightfall the week Hung Jury can drop, you'll get the Adept version instead. Adept weapons look slightly different, have better stats, and exclusive weapon mods. This is one of my favorite scout rifles for PvE content, even if it's not that popular to think so. The next best scout rifle for PvE is the Vision of Confluence, and in my opinion it's the best legendary solar scout rifle for PvE. Trustee, the solar scout rifle from Deepstone Crypt, just doesn't really have the range that Vision of Confluence has, and the only other legendary scout rifle is the Pleiades Corrector, which has some pretty awful perks to choose from. For Nightfalls and Pinnacle PvE content with Match Game, Vision of Confluence is really the only solar scout rifle option. There's always a lot of solar shields in this type of content, and you really don't want to be using an exotic. Being up close with an SMG or hand cannon is an easy way to get one shot when you're always under level, like in Master Vault of Glass and Grandmaster Nightfalls. Fortunately, Vision of Confluence has some really good rolls to get. In the first perk column, Rewind Rounds and Wellspring are my personal favorites, with Killing Wind and Tunnel Vision being close behind. With Rewind Rounds, you can easily get another mag of ammo returned to you, and you'll get more abilities faster with Wellspring. Both of these are great options in endgame content. In the last perk column, everything is really good except Thresh and Full Auto in my opinion. Firefly is great for ad clear. Disruption Break is a huge debuff to when you break an enemy's solar shield or a barrier champion's barrier. Frenzy is a really easy damage buff to activate and have going for a long time, and Kill Clip is a 33% damage buff that you can refresh after every kill. My personal favorite roll is Rewind Rounds with Frenzy, because you're going to be reloading less often with Rewind Rounds. Since you have all of this time in between reloads, Frenzy is going to be active longer. They both just complement each other really well. A really good alternative would be Wellspring with Firefly, because the explosion kills would give you more ability energy back. Vision of Confluence drops from the Vault of Glass raid, specifically it drops from the Conflux, Oracle, or Templar chests. After you get it to drop for the first time, it's possible it can drop from the Seeker chest in the raid, and you can also turn in Spoils of Conquest to purchase random rolls after defeating Atheon, the final boss. For the Crucible, scout rifles aren't getting any buffs in Season 15 that'll make them better in PvP, but I think they'll actually be indirectly buffed. Since Bungie is slowing down PvP at the start of the season with a lot of the changes that they're making, players can't run back into cover as quickly and they can't ape you down as recklessly when you're using a scout. This makes it easier for scout rifles to get their kills, even if you miss a shot or two. I expect there to be a spot for scout rifles to thrive next season if you're a fan of them, or you're just looking to try something else besides a hand cannon. These are the 5 best scout rifles for PvP, the roles you need to get for them, and how to farm for each of these scout rifles. First up is the Guiding Sight, which is a scout rifle that I love to use in 6v6. High impact scout rifles have always been my favorite scout rifle archetype for PvP. They kind of feel like a hand cannon, where 3 perfectly paced shots get you incredibly quick and satisfying kills. When you 3-tap a Guardian with a high impact frame like the Guiding Sight, you have a faster time to kill than any hand cannon in the game except for the Last Word. The only reason it loses duels to hand cannons at all is because scout rifle zoom hurts it in the short to medium range encounters, which is pretty much every encounter in Destiny because of their map design. The Guiding Sight has perfectly vertical recoil by default, meaning you don't need to fight it for precision shots. It's got a slower rate of fire though, so you're encouraged to pace those shots instead of spraying and praying. Its stability is a bit low, so the perfect perk that you want with a Guiding Sight is Rapid Hit. Rapid Hit increases your stability when you get precision hits, which then just makes each precision shot easier to land after. This seriously makes getting those sweet 3 taps so much easier to get. Rapid Hit is so strong on this scout rifle that I wouldn't bother with anything else in this entire perk column at all. Quick Draw just isn't as good as it used to after some nerfs, Hipfire Grip is terrible, Ambitious Assassin doesn't add enough value, and you're probably not going to get the full advantage from Surplus. Slide Shot is okay for the range and stability boost, but with sliding making your weapon worse in Season 15, it kind of comes out as a neutral change. That can be good if you're still planning on sliding a ton after the nerfs, but I'd rather strafe and crouch with Rapid Hit so that the Guiding Sight is better off with the perks I'm using than have a perk that leaves it more of the same. In the final perk column, I'd personally aim for Zen Moment or Iron Grip for their stability boosts. It's kind of hard to tell how much Zen Moment actually helps. Some people say it's a big difference, and others will tell you that it doesn't really do much at all. Iron Grip is just a permanent stability boost at the cost of reload, which is honestly a fair trade if you're running Rapid Hit. In my opinion, the god roll you should aim for nailing 3 taps is Rapid Hit and Iron Grip. Just make sure to play your corners to counter getting rushed, and use longer sight lines where you have the advantage. In Season 15, you'll be able to farm for the Guiding Sight by turning in Iron Banner tokens to Lord Saladin for rank up packages. When talking about the best scout rifles for PvP, you just can't ignore how incredible Dead Man's Tale is. Unquestionably, Dead Man's Tale probably is the best PvP scout rifle in Destiny. The greatest weakness that every scout rifle suffers from is irrelevant with DMT. The higher the zoom, the worse weapon is in close to medium range, you know, where 90% of fights happen in the Crucible. Likewise, it's better at medium to long range. There's just really almost no maps that have longer ranges for scout rifles to be a decent option in. With Dead Man Tale's Catalyst, the rate of fire is faster when firing from the hip, and all accuracy penalties from firing from the hip are removed. Because of this, DMT is able to compete head-to-head with the best PvP weapons in the game. When firing DMT from the hip, you have so much more peripheral vision. You're able to just see so much more of the battlefield and react better. Your radar is visible at all times, so you won't get surprised by a flank or hit from an unexpected angle. Keep in mind that Dead Man's Tale really thrives in the short to mid range. You want to be positioned just outside of shotgun and fusion rifle territory, but too far back and you'll need to aim down sights for consistent shots. It's not that DMT is bad when ADSing, it's just so much better when hip fired. While aiming DMT, it's just an okay scout rifle. Dead Man's Tale is also an extremely unique exotic that can roll with a random perk on it. For this random perk, you'll want to get Killing Wind or Vorpal Weapon. Killing Wind is one of the best perks for PvP, but Vorpal Weapon makes shutting down roaming supers easy. Outlaw is an okay perk, but DMT already reloads 2 shots at a time, and 4th times the charm is fairly difficult to proc consistently. Personally, I dismantle any Dead Man's Tales you get that have Snapshot or Moving Target. These perks only activate when you aim down sight, which again, you rarely ever want to do with Dead Man's Tale. To farm for random rolls on this exotic, complete the Presage mission on the Tangled Shore each week on all 3 of your characters. Another great scout rifle for PvP is Trustee. It's a really fun rapid fire frame that's better in the close to medium range. Its fastest time to kill is 0.93 seconds, which honestly isn't fantastic, but you only need to land 3 headshots and 2 body shots for the kill. Rapid fire frames are one of the most forgiving time to kills in Destiny, and have the best body shot time to kill of all scout rifles. With this type of scout rifle, being deadly accurate isn't going to be competitive with the best crucible weapons, but it's perfect for the average player that hits one too many body shots instead of precision shots. Trustee also has so many great perk options to choose from. Surplus buffing handling, reload speed and stability is always great. Killing Wind is a fantastic perk, Wellspring is really good to have with how powerful abilities are in the crucible, and opening shot makes the first shot you fire almost guaranteed to not miss. In PvP, there's a very niche Trustee roll you can use for some cheeky kills that are 20% faster than normal. High impact reserves bust the damage in the last portion of your magazine, so if you fire some shots off early when you're moving around the map, you can then 4-tap a Guardian when you eventually run into them. In the Crucible, you're going to want either Surplus or Killing Wind in the first perk column, and either Wellspring or Opening Shot in the second perk column. If you're going for the meme high impact reserves build, I'd personally use Surplus since you'll most likely need to reload after a kill. For me personally, I'd look for a Killing Wind Wellspring roll. Kills with Trustee increase your mobility, range, and handling for a few seconds, but you'll also be getting ability energy. The ability energy you get is divided between your uncharged abilities, so if you have any that are already fully charged, your uncharged abilities will get more back. And since grenades are extremely powerful in the Crucible, getting them more often is insane. Don't forget that since Trustee is a rapid fire frame, it naturally can be fired full auto, or you can tap fire each shot. It also has naturally fast reloads when the magazine is empty, so reload perks like Outlaw aren't needed. Trustee only drops from the Deep Stone Crypt, which is the Beyond Light expansion's raid, and it only drops from the Security Chest, which is the first encounter in the raid. Once you got Trustee to drop for you, you can purchase random rolls using Spoils of Conquest from the chest at the end of the raid after beating Taniks. The next best scout rifle for PvP is the Hung Jury. It honestly doesn't have a lot of great PvP perk options to choose from, but the few good ones are great. Its base stats are also better than a lot of other scout rifles, so it's really easy to land precision shots for easy kills. Its recoil direction is as close to perfectly up and down as it gets, so landing crits on controller or mouse or keyboard are probably easier than what you're used to in a scout. My personal favorite PvP roll is rapid hit and explosive payload because of how much the flinch makes it harder for the other person to hit you. It might not prevent them from hitting body shots on you, but it's so unlikely for the other player to hit you with crits. As long as you can hit your crits, you're at a huge advantage in a duel within scout rifle range. Moving target wouldn't be a bad option to use since it improves your target acquisition and movement while ADS. In my opinion, all of the other perk options aren't worth running for PvP, but Hung Jury feels so good to use with its base stats. Each week on a rotation, specific weapons have the chance to drop from Nightfall ordeals. The weeks that Hung Jury is available, the more difficult the Nightfall that you complete, the higher the drop rate is for a Hung Jury to drop. And if you complete a Grandmaster Nightfall the week Hung Jury can drop, you'll get the Adept version instead. Adept weapons look slightly different, have better stats, and also have exclusive weapon mods. The next PvP scout rifle is Night Watch, and it has some base stats in the perk pool to be an absolute monster at chaining back-to-back kills in the Crucible. Getting one stack of multi-kill clips damage boost is enough to 3-tap any Guardian with 7 resilience or less, which makes it one of the fastest time to kills in the game. With how large the magazine size can get, using that first stack sets you up for more multi-kills in between reloads. That one stack easily sets you up with enough damage for the 2 or 3 stack multi-kill clip after. And remember, 1 stack is a 17% damage buff, 2 is a 33% buff, and 3 is a huge 50% damage buff. All of these last for 5 seconds. Ideally with multi-kill clip, you want rapid hit for PvP. Rapid hit makes landing precision shots easier because of the increased stability you get, and then your reload is faster to proc multi-kill clip. If you can't get this roll, the next roll is also fantastic. The perks Subsistence and Rampage pair beautifully together. Subsistence refills your magazine after each kill, and each kill gives you a stack of Rampage. The first kill is a 10% buff in damage, the second kill is a 21% buff, and the third kill is a 33% bonus for 3.5 seconds or 4.5 seconds with the Rampage spec mod, all without ever needing to reload. Both of these rolls are fantastic for getting high kill matches in 6v6, but what about game modes with less players like Trials of Osiris? Then you're going to want perks that have the highest uptime and give you the most value so you have a slight upper hand against the other team. Explosive payload on a scout rifle is a sniper player's worst nightmare, and we all know how Trials is absolutely full of sniper rifles. You can shut them down completely for your entire team with how much flinch that you apply to them. The flinch will also mess up the aim for primaries too. If you can make it harder for that 140 RPM hand cannon to land a precision shot on you, you'll seriously hurt their time to kill on you, taking it from a 3-shot kill to a 4-shot kill. You probably won't be able to stop cheaters even with the extra flinch though, but for all of the recovs filling up matchmaking in Trials, this will definitely make them miss your head more often. And when every wasted millisecond can mean life or death in the Crucible, Snapshot is another great perk to have on your Night Watch. To farm for this weapon, just turn in weapon parts with Banshee in the tower for chances at getting a God roll Night Watch. With Season 15 just a couple days away, you've still got the time to get these scout rifles and the God rolls that you're still missing. If you want more free content, check out the newsletter on my Twitter and the links in the description below. There's a ton of free content there created just to help you enjoy Destiny more. Like this video to help me out in the YouTube algorithm, and thanks for watching.
be a paradise.